Well, good evening, everybody. This is Paris Procopis. Welcome to the Paris Procopis Show. I know it's been a while, but actually it hasn't been that long. I did a quick one about a week ago. Yes, the Paris Procopis Show is going to start coming on more consistently. Life has changed. It's a little more calm down a little bit, so I have a little bit of time and everything like that, but hoping everybody is doing well and things are going amazing with newsundone.com. It is I don't know how to tell you. I mean, it's just amazing, the feedback and the people sharing our articles and everything. Jay Weber retweeting. Mark Belling has actually shared my stuff on his website. So a big deal for such a short time to be around. I mean, obviously, I haven't been around a short time. I've got some street cred out there because I've been in the activist world for a long time and everything like that. But I hope everybody is doing awesome out there. It's a Wednesday night. It's hump day. Yes. It's almost a weekend. It's been an interesting couple of days. I was out in Madison, the People's Republic of Madison, yesterday, and Brian Schimming was the MC for an event for the Dane County Young Republicans. They had an event. We had some folks that were speaking. There's a candidate for sheriff out there, and there's so go to the Dane County Republicans. You can see some recaps of people who spoke and everything like that. There's a state senate candidate, Bob Ralph, out there. Got to meet him. Haven't met him before. Interesting character. I think he's got a great chance. From what I'm hearing about the district, it's kind of hard to gauge it because a lot of the districts are new. Oh, it's that funny. This is my microphone is getting a little bit of artifacts there in the window, so I hope that's not too distracting. And everybody, let me know if make a comment in the comments. Let me know you're here, but also make it known if I sound okay. I don't want to have any problems with audio and everything like that. A little bit of a pattern in my shirt, so I'm getting a little bit of everything and a little bit of a haze there. But hey, we'll deal with it. But as I mentioned, News Undone is creating, and News Undone is the website that I created, where I just needed a platform to how would you say it? Where I wasn't limited by 501c3 status and that type of thing. So I just wanted to do that. Here's my latest article, talking about Tim Michels for governor, his campaign and everything like that. And where he is grown as a candidate. And I mean, everything from the point where he was reading his speech at the convention to now being a formidable contender, as it were, out there. He's leading in some polls. There's I believe it's public policy poll that just came out that's showing him +3. It's all within the margin of error at this point, unless somebody's got like +6, +7. But there are the anomalies, like what's going to be the Trump bump. Trump always overperforms the polls, and Tim Michels is being supported and endorsed by Donald Trump, and he could have another phenomenal night like he had on the primary night. When in the primary he had, I think it was supposed to be neck and neck, 50-50, and he won by 5 points. So it looks really good. So here we are just days away from, and when I say days, it's 20 days as of today, 20 days. But it says here we are just days from from perhaps the biggest governor election in Wisconsin history. This was coming down to an epic battle between the disastrous professional politician Tony Evers and the surging businessman Tim Michels. That's right, I said was. What we saw during the one and only debate between both the governor candidates was a clear contrast, and Tim Michels was wiping the floor with the mediocre Tony Evers, the Mr. Rogers wannabe. On one hand, we saw the spiraling incumbent desperately trying to cling to power and struggling to find a single success to celebrate in his disastrous first term. In fact, the only success he had was signing the Republican tax cuts. That's right, he signed the Republican tax cuts. That was his success. Other than that, he hasn't had any legislative victories. You know, there was a budget that included those tax cuts. Pardon me. Although, you know, he got a lot more school spending, of course, unaccountable. So, guys, leave me any comments if I'm coming in too hot sound-wise. I want to make sure that I'm easy with my dreamy radio voice, making sure that I'm coming out okay. I don't want to be too overbearing here. New microphone, and I'm making sure that I sound better. It's about putting out a good quality product and having something people want to listen to. You know, that's the way it is. We're growing. News Undone is growing. I'm excited about it. So everything, but anyway, check out that article on newsundone.com. Ooh, I should really have pop it up on the screen. So sorry I didn't have time to prepare for that. But today, what I really want to talk about is I'm hearing some rumblings out there that really concern me about the election. You know, and I've mentioned, you know, there's some, and I'll say it the way it is. There's some people acting like spoiled, rotten children because their candidate didn't win the primary, and so they're saying, "Oh, I'm going to let Rome burn." Blah. Well, Rome is burning, and that's the problem. We need to stop it from burning. But not talking about that tonight. What I am talking about, first and foremost, Joan Beglinger is not running any longer. She suspended her campaign weeks ago and came out publicly supporting Tim Michels. So that Marquette poll that came out a few days ago came out where it showed Evers and Michels neck and neck, and I think they had Michels down by 1, but it had Beglinger at 5 points. There's no way she gets 5 points. And in case you're wondering, yes, she did drop out. You can look it up. You can check that out on newsundone.com. Beglinger did endorse Tim Michels very, very emphatically. And then there's also there's some people who want to have a movement of writing in Tim Ramthun. And Tim Ramthun came in basically last of the main contenders. And he was at that Green Bay event where he showed up, where Governor DeSantis was here endorsing Tim Michels. And Tim Michels gave him a shout out, gave Ramthun a shout out, rousing applause. I was talking with Tim a little bit. I said, "Good to see you here. I'm glad you're not running a write-in anymore." And he said, "Yes, it's more important to beat Evers. That's the most important thing." And something in the matter where he said to me, and I was like very pleased to hear that. So there's that. So there is no write-in Ramthun movement either. So we've got Tim Michels. Tim Michels is our only option to affect any sort of change, and he's become a very, very good candidate, and quite frankly, looks a lot like a governor. So we're crossing our fingers, we're crossing our toes, but we got to get out there and work. But part of working is getting out there and voting. And what I'm hearing, and that's what's concerning me, is that there's a lot of people who are just so frustrated with what happened in 2020. They have the attitude, well, why bother voting? It's not going to count anyway. They're just going to find a way and stuff like that. And if that's your attitude, that they've already won, that's what I'm here to tell you. if, and a lot of this applies to people who had ordered their absentee ballots for whatever reason. I don't judge. If you need an absentee ballot, more power to you. If you're traveling, whatever, do it, or if you're sick or whatever, and you ordered your absentee ballot, but then deciding not to bother sending it in. Seriously? You're gonna sit on your laurels and just let the outcome happen because you're afraid of them cheating? Well, here's the news flash. They're going to cheat. They've done it before. Whether it rose up to the, changing the outcome of the 2020 election, we'll never know. At this point, nothing's pointed to that, but, we'll never know. But we just need to show up in high enough numbers that it renders that irrelevant. If you remember in 2012, and I hope this video doesn't get flagged by the YouTube gods, but if you remember in 2012, Scott Walker was running into recall. They were trying to recall Scott Walker, and they had the hundreds of white vans from Illinois coming into Wisconsin. This was before voter ID and stuff like that. So they were getting people to the polls. No, they were just making sure they brought in enough people so they could vote in our election. That's what was happening. We busted some of them. But whatever, we just showed up in such an overwhelming number that it rendered that irrelevant. And that's what we have to do again. Tim Michels needs to win 52-48. He needs to win by 4 to make this beyond contestation. 100,000 votes. That's what I think. It might be 50,000 vote different, might be 30,000 vote different. I think he'll do better than what Trump did. Part of it is Ron Johnson's actually pulling really well, and Ron Johnson outperformed Donald Trump in 2016, last time he ran. So I think we got a good opportunity here. But none of this matters if you don't send your ballot in, or you don't get off your ass and get out there and vote on election day, or early voting. I mean, we have early voting. You may not like it, but it's here, and that's a very important thing right now. We got to make sure that you have the ability to affect change. The only way you affect change is to win elections. So none of this, well, wait till next time till we have the candidate that we want. I'm a spoiled child and I didn't get my way. Boo-hoo. That kind of thing. None of that matters right now. All that matters is beating Tony Evers. And he has power right now. And I said this in my speech last night. How we got here, why we're here, none of that matters anymore. It's just time to get into the fight. And part of it is turning in your damn absentee ballots and stop letting the left dictate your habits. So you're afraid of them cheating, so therefore you're not going to vote. And maybe, you know what? Maybe they didn't cheat in 2020. We don't know. But they painted the picture that there was a potential for shenanigans. The mind picture, but the actions that we're taking. I mean, weird things like not wanting to do forensic audits, not wanting to, having the drop boxes, all this stuff was a way to deflate voter turnout. That's really all it was. And it worked. And Donald Trump lost because of it. Let's put it on face value that Joe Biden won Wisconsin. I'm not going to argue whether or not, but according to the official totals, he won Wisconsin. And let's assume Tim Michels wins on November 8th. He assumes office in January. It'll already be the 2024 election cycle. There's no point the only point there is to stop them from doing whatever they're doing. to stack the deck. But that's the point of all this. Nothing is going to change the outcome of the 2020 election. Joe Biden is president, and he will remain president until January 20th, 2025. Unless he quits or something. So none of that matters. None of that matters. What matters is that we win. Everybody complains about the problems, but the only way to affect the change is to win. We don't like the fact that they have drop boxes. We don't like the fact that they have, forgive me, we don't like the fact that they do whatever. That they have democracy in the park, or they have indefinitely confined. Forgive me, my whole system's being weird. But we don't like that. Yeah, we can sit and bitch about it all we want, but if we don't have power to affect the changes we need to affect so that elections are indeed fair, and I don't mean fair by Republicans win all the time. I'm going to talk about that for a second. The United States was built, the United States Constitution, our very form of government, was absolutely brilliant. It doesn't always work the way we want it to. And that's by design. It doesn't always work the way we want it to. You know, we got stuff going on. Democrats doing things. Hey, heck, even some Republicans doing things that we don't like. But it's also running the way it's designed. You get people complaining, oh, gridlock in Washington, gridlock, blah, 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 blah. Well, gridlock is actually part of the design. You have to work pretty hard to get stuff passed. So it prevents extreme stuff from getting passed. Unfortunately, the Democrats have really taken advantage of this because they found the ways around stuff, and you know how they try to skirt laws. That's all they do. I'm not saying the Republicans have never tried to do that, but I'm saying the Democrats have gotten really good at it. And that's just the way it is. That's just the way it is. Some things will never change. Okay, sorry. I'm not here to sing. I'm a better talker than singer. Trust me on this. But our government is working exactly as it's designed. And you look at our history, we've had this pendulum that swings back and forth. And it always swings from one extreme to the other, typically, and usually kind of floats in the middle. I was having a conversation with somebody last night talking about the fact that the whatchamacallit, I completely lost all train of thought because my camera was moving. Okay, distraction. Squirrel! Okay. So, anyway, that was probably a lie anyway. You know, after all, I am just a gossip columnist who writes for News Undone, who's written some articles that have gotten a lot of traction. My Tim Michaels article from the other day got a lot of traction. The article I did about Absentee a few weeks ago where his campaign staff quit. And I expressed my concerns with the concept of a write-in. I don't like write-in elections unless they're absolutely necessary. I don't think just because we don't like the outcome of an election, we should always be able to get a do-over. And that's basically what it is. Yes, I know it was razor thin, and I would have liked Absentee to have won. Not after what I've heard recently, but at the time, I really wanted him to win. I was very disappointed in Robin Vos. I don't want to be stuck with Robin Vos. Yeah, he's a very powerful guy. He's been in government. He manages things. And I'll cut the guy some slack. Because I've been pretty pointed about Vos and the leadership. And Fitzgerald before him and all these leaders that have missed opportunities when we had full power to do all the things that they sent to Tony Evers. With a couple of exceptions, things that popped up recently, all those bills that they sent to Tony Evers were never sent to Scott Walker. But part of it was Scott Walker. Part of it was Robin Voss. So they're both equally, and I'll hold their feet to fire. But we can blame Robin Voss all we want. But in the end, the only reason he was able to do it is because we let him. There was no pressure because Republicans, I talked about this in my speech, the Republicans go to sleep after every election. Oh, we won. So now we can just sit and do our thing. Hello, David King. How are you? So, and we've got Jim Polster. Tim is working hard for Milwaukee Votes in Milwaukee. I'm working on a new platform here. Let's see if I can feature this. Does it go up? No. Oh, wait, right here. There we go. Jim Polster, you're famous. I now put you up there. Tim is working hard for votes in Milwaukee. You are correct. 100,000 extra Democrats can't cheat. And yeah, exactly. And that's what it is. Oh, we got Ian C. Jordan. I'm gonna. This will be fun. Copy. Hey, Ian, how you doing? So we got David King. We got Ian Jordan. I'm just learning this platform, and no, don't want to listen to music. No. My computer is freaking out on me right now. I've got things opening up that I didn't want opening up. There we go. Am I staying out of trouble? See, this, my friends, is what we call a rhetorical question. David knows that I'm always in trouble. It's what I do. I'll move it over here. There we go. So, good background. My background was inspired by LSD. It's just moving around and everything. So here we are, obviously talking about Robin Voss and stuff like that. But I think Robin Voss has lost touch, and I've talked about this in other articles and talks and whatever. He's lost touch with the citizens, and unfortunately, we didn't hold him accountable, so that's why we are in a situation that we are. But the fact of the matter is, yeah, it was close, but he did win. And pissing and moaning that he won. Oh no, whatever. And people, of course, freaked out. I wrote an article talking about the fact that his entire staff quit. Not entire staff, but his leadership team had quit. They keep on saying it was only 3 people. No, it was actually 6 people who quit. I've got all the copies of the resignations or whatever, and then one of them came back apparently. So it was really 5, but whatever. When you got a leadership team, they're all volunteers and they quit. And now recently, the Wisconsin Right Now published an article talking about the recorded phone calls, where he literally recorded every phone call. Now, I knew about this beforehand. I knew about this when I wrote my article. I wasn't going to cover it. I'm not an investigative journalist typically. I don't pretend to be one. So, other people are more skilled at that than I am. This is Jim and Jessica, Wisconsin Right Now. This is their wheelhouse. They do investigative reporting, and they know how to get to the nitty gritty of things that, I'm an opinion writer. So that's, I know my abilities and my not abilities. But what I did report is the campaign team leadership quit. And then I went on to talk about my stuff. the fact that I don't like write-in campaigns and stuff like that. If somebody doesn't make the ballot for whatever reason, yeah, okay, run a write-in, fine. If there are no candidates on the ballot, run a write-in. Deanna Alexander recently, last April, she won a write-in campaign. She's now back on the county board because there were no candidates. The incumbent failed to get on the ballot. And the incumbent also ran a write-in campaign. That was fine. Excuse me. But once an election has been run and you lose or you win, in my opinion, the election is over. And they're generally not successful. Do I think the recordings matter in Adam Stevens' case? They may matter if he's able to pull this off. I don't think he's going to win, but if he is able to win, more power to him. But then that will become more of an issue because there's he said some bad things about volunteers. He has a lot of disrespect of things. So whatever, take it as it is. I personally don't have a beef with Adam Steen. I just don't like write-in campaigns. It starts to dilute the democratic process of our republic. That's just my thoughts. Just like I didn't like the recalls. Now I know there are times when recalls become necessary. And it's got to be more than just a difference of opinion. It's got to be, it's like recalling school board members because they're pushing pedophilia and indoctrinating our kids at kindergarten, first grade, second grade. Yeah, that's recallable because they're harming our kids, the irreparable harm that they can do with this stuff because their minds are too young to handle all this, to mentally handle all this. So that's part of it. There we go. Let's see. Just tune in. Christina, how's it going? Yeah, I was talking about the write-in campaign. Here, let's go here. Is Tim a write-in? No, he is not. I talked about this a little bit earlier. You're talking about Tim Ramthun. He is not a write-in. And if he were a write-in, I'd be vehemently against that, especially in his case. You can kind of make the argument in Steen's case, he lost by 260 votes. You can make a cogent argument about it. I'm not saying they don't have a right to do this. I just personally don't like it. But of course, some people, if you disagree with them, you think they're your friends and oh no, Paris is a gossip columnist. He's no better than all the other publications out there. Oh no. Anyway, so this is what you get. So, but Tim Ramthun, in his case, he came in third, like a very distant third. You had Tim Michaels, you had Becky Cleafish, about 5 points less than him, and you had Tim Ramthun, that was another 10 points less than her. So yeah, it was substantial. He wouldn't be able to. A write-in campaign is just a wasted effort, especially in that situation, because these people talk about, but principles, we got to accomplish what we want to accomplish. We're principled. And our guy didn't win, so we're not going to accomplish what we want to accomplish. Well, you're going to get closer to accomplishing what you want to accomplish with Tim Michaels than you will with Tony Evers. I'll tell you that much. So, yes, he did. On the day after the primary, he indicated that he wanted to reserve the right to do it, but he never officially said he was running a write-in campaign. So, it's a dead issue. He's not running. And unless he comes out and says, I'm running a write-in campaign. No, but he said straight out, I'm not running one. It's more important that we beat Evers. So even he gets it. So that's important. Okay, what do we have here? Especially under these circumstances, a vote for Steen is one lost and the Dems gain because you tossed your vote. Yeah, potentially. That is it. I mean, you're potentially handing a seat to the Democrats. Does losing a reliable, and I'm not saying the primary shouldn't happen. Make no mistake about it. I supported the primary. I wanted Robin Vos primaried. 2 reasons. One, he could lose, and then we move on. And the second reason is that hopefully Vos does so bad that maybe he gets the message and at least opens his eyes a little bit. And this has nothing to do with the decertification or recalling our electors and stuff like that, because I actually agree with Robin Vos on that. There's nothing we can do. The election is over. Joe Biden is president. Joe Biden won Wisconsin officially. You can argue about the drop boxes, and I think the 2,000 Mules came out to the fact that it could have been 200,000 ballots that were in question. But it begs the question, which 200,000 ballots? There's no way of knowing. Once those votes has been cast, it's too late. There's no place to come in. There's no place to come in. There's no recourse. Once the ballots are in the machine, they're all commingled. There's no way to know. It's not going to be, okay, this one's fake, this one's real, this one's fake. There's no way. There's no way to tell. So, I think that Adam's going to get a decent. Yes, we can vote for Batman. I'm Batman. So, but you better vote for Tim Michaels, Ron Johnson, and Eric Toney. All important. We got to sweep. And yes, Amy Laudenbach too. Liebman for treasurer. We need to sweep. We need every one of them to be Republican. So I'm sorry. I'm not going to let a Democrat stay as treasurer because something that, whatever. I'm voting for Liebman. No question about it. So what do we have here? I guess what we might want to consider is statistical information. How many people voted in primary versus how many don't but will on election day? That's going to be an interesting question. And you got a lot of people who are, there's a Democrat candidate on the ballot. The Democrat candidate is going to come in third. There's no way. I could be wrong, but I have a feeling the Democrats are going to want to pay spoiler. There's a chance that Adam Steen can pull this off. And like I said, I think that's where those recorded calls will come into question. He might even be forced to step down because of some of the things that he said in there. Or maybe he won't. You never know. I remember there was a guy, Reynolds was his name. He was a state senator in the Wauwatosa area many years ago. He was a little bit, he voted right on all the issues, but he was a little flaky in my opinion. I still voted for him. So yes, Rob Hutton is running in Wauwatosa, West Dallas. Yeah, you can vote for Libertarian. It's not going to do any good. Maybe it'd be a chance to get rid of La Follette, though, once and for all. I mean, David, when was the last time? When did you run for Secretary of State? Well, that was 2010. That was 13 years ago, and he was in there for like 40 years then, or like 30 years then. So now, 13 years later, he's still there. Oh, when are we going to be able to get rid of the guy? So, Yeah, I have seen the redistricted maps. Yeah, I have. It's going to be interesting. I think it's a better map than it was last time. So I think Hutton has a chance, and he's getting a lot of help from the Waukesha Republicans, not getting much help from Milwaukee, obviously, but it is what it is. But at least Waukesha's involved on it. And, and then we got Bob Donovan down in the 83rd. He's running. I want him in the assembly. I think he'd be great in the assembly because he's not going to be a just sit and be a backbencher type of assembly rep. And I got to give the guy credit. I mean, his wife is going through some pretty significant health issues, and he's still in the game. He's still working it. And I know that's because she wants him to work it and go out there and do that. And it's like, oh, they're both great people. So I hope he can pull it off. We were able to help him win the primary. And he didn't just win, he spanked his opponent, who will remain nameless, Voldemort. Anyway, yeah, Michael's hometown is Brownsville. Now we all know where you live, Sarah. All right, sorry. It's Wednesday night. I'm allowed to be funny. Oh, yes. Yeah, anybody who's ever looked at state maps of districts, these were all inspired by LSD, so they can carve them up to make everything. I think constitutionally, all districts, to the best of their ability, need to be drawn 50-50. Unfortunately, there's just no way to really do that. So instead, they have safe Democrat seats, safe Republican seats, and it's just the way it goes. So, anyway, let's look over here. What do you think about the head African American Council of the Republican Party? Oh, interesting. Hey, David, you should write an article on that. Let's put it up on News Undone. That would be an interesting thing. Yeah, I bet you'd have an interesting take on that. Why don't you do that? Yep. And in Wauwatosa, Kiva Turner's looks like, yeah, exactly. That district's all messed up, but it was designed to make Robin Vining more permanent, which kind of sucks. I mean, yeah, she's a nice enough person, sort of. She acts very nice in your face, but I've got stories. I'll leave it at that. But at any rate, but getting off into the weeds a little bit here, I think that we have an opportunity on November 8th to affect change, and that's the most important thing. And then when we win, we've got to make sure that we hold. I trust that Tim Michels is going to do what he's going to say he's going to do. But like Ronald Reagan says, trust but verify. We need to hold his feet to the fire. That's something we really didn't do with Scott Walker. And yeah, he did some great things. No question about it. I do not regret ever voting for Scott Walker. But there were a lot of missed opportunities and stuff like that. And that's where we need to make sure that Tim Michels delivers, along with Robin Vos in the Assembly and LeMahieu in the State Senate. And we got to pick up the pressure on these two. They have to listen to the people. Every one of those bills that was on Tony Evers' desk needs to show up on Tim Michels' desk. Absolutely. And he said he'll sign them. He already said he's going to sign them. So Yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic. I think Michaels is going to do very well. He's already doing better than anybody thought. Not anybody, but the naysayers were saying he's not going to put any money in the race. He's lying. He's not going to be in her. The guy's all over the flippin' state. You know, and I gave credit to Becky. Over 3 years, she went all over the state and everywhere. She was everywhere in Republican circles. She went to all the Republican events. Tim Michaels is literally everywhere. He's going on into Central City. He's going on the near South Side. He's going all the way down into Kenosha, Racine, Eau Claire, La Crosse, the farmlands in the middle of nowhere. He was down in near the Quad Cities a couple days ago, up in Fond du Lac. I mean, they're literally flying places too, because you can't possibly cover this ground by car. And think about it, because he has the resources to be able to do it. And his immense resources only create an opportunity for him to be in the game. But hard work is going to be what wins the election, and that's what he's doing. He's delivering. He's become a long way as far as public speaking, connecting with voters. I see him interacting. It's like, and with me, he comes up. If I see him at an event, hey Tim, how's it going? Good job. Hey Paris, how's it going? You know, and he moves on. He has my vote. He doesn't need to waste his time with me per se. I know he doesn't see me as a waste of time. I don't see him as a waste of time, but he needs to connect with those people, the other voters that he hasn't gotten yet. And hanging out with me isn't going to help him one bit. And I think that this is something I'm so impressed with him. He gets it. And you know, people say, "Oh, he's just trying to buy so he can become rich or whatever like that." No, he's not going to. He can't be. The governor's office pays like $120,000 a year or something like that. It's not that high. It's a major pay cut for him. So he's investing in us. He's investing in Wisconsin. So I think it's important. So Tim Michaels, Ron Johnson, he's doing well. He's already proven himself to be a fighter. I think he has no problem getting to base. And he may even get a few other people, because Mandela Barnes is he's disingenuous. He's clearly phony. And people are seeing through it. Yeah, he may have won his primary. That's because everybody cleared the field for him. And my point about money, it's like money doesn't matter if you don't back it up with substance. Alex Lasry is a perfect example. If money solely mattered, then he would be the governor. He'd be running against Ron Johnson and not Mandela Barnes, because Lasry's got daddy's money and, you know, that kind of thing. So you got to have substance, and Tim's got it in spades. Tim Michaels, I'm very, very proud of him. I think he's doing a great job. It's up to us to deliver this now. So we need to get out there and work. We need to donate. I don't care if it's $20. Get out there and donate. Eric Hovde had a fundraiser recently for him, like a couple days ago, and it was several $100,000 that was raised in donations. So the donations are coming in as well. And this isn't from PAC money. This is from people donating because they believe in Tim Michaels. They're putting their money where their mouth is. And now we're in a good position to beat Tony Evers. We can do this. I'm excited. So, but anyway, none of this matters if you don't vote. The most important thing is to vote. So if you're holding on to your absentee ballot because you're afraid that the Democrats are going to cheat, well, they won, and they're winning because of you. Get that thing done. Send it in now. They know we're watching, so they're not going to be able to get away with what they got away with in 2018 and 2020. So, but anyway, let's render the nefarious activities irrelevant. That's the only way to do it. Right now, we're under one banner. It's Tim Michaels, Ron Johnson, and Eric Toney. Those are the most important things. Obviously, I want the Republican for Secretary of State, Secretary of Treasury, the Treasurer, State Treasurer. But in the end, those seats don't matter diddly. But who knows? Maybe we could turn them into something. If the Republicans win, maybe we can make them, maybe we can have a Secretary of State that's accountable to the people on elections. But we need to be careful with that, Tim. And then we got to continue on after the November elections. Let's assume we sweep all that. We've got a Supreme Court race, and that's coming up in April. Dan Kelly is likely going to be the only conservative on the ballot. He's our guy. He's an amazing jurist. He knows what he's talking about, and he does a very good job of weighing the Constitution. He's exactly the ideal we're looking for in a Supreme Court justice. But let's be honest, he's not a politician, which is actually one of his endearing qualities. I like non-politicians. You know, Ron Johnson, I mean, technically he's a politician now because he's been in the Senate, but he was an outsider non-politician as well. So Ron Johnson, Tim Michels, and you have a situation where the non-politicians are, doing well. So Dan Kelly, not being a politician, could be, and chances are there's, whoever's going to run against him is going to be some left-wing crackpot. Hopefully they don't. Yeah, I'm hoping we get the same results we got in the Prosser-Kloppenberg race years ago. That was divine. That was awesome. This is a referendum on Scott Walker. Okay. All right, guys. I'm going to get going. The night is waning for me. I've had a long week, and I want to keep tonight's show to about an hour or a little bit less. So remember, get out there, vote. If you're voting absentee or voting early, get it done. Don't make any excuses. Oh, I just couldn't get around to it. If you can't make it election day, early vote. There's opportunities. You can say, "Well, I don't like that. It's wrong, but I can't make it. I can't make it on election day." Well, you know what? As of right now, early voting is part of the state's voting culture. So early vote if you need to. I like to see my ballot go in on election day. That's just me. But I have early voted in the past when I knew I had something going on election day. So none of this wins or none of this matters if we don't win. That's what it comes down to. You could sit and piss and moan about, or what was that? My old boss used to always say, pitch and woo. You can pitch and woo about why things aren't getting done the way you like it, or because you've got an idiot as governor, blah, 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 because Tony Evers wins re-election because he wanted to let Rome burn. Boo-hoo! That's where we're at. You can sit and piss and moan, or you can do something about it. Only with power can we affect change. Get to work. Got a lot of work. 20 days. And after tonight, 19 days. Don't talk about this in 2 weeks and stuff like that. No, it's days. Literally days now. All right, guys? Have an awesome, awesome night. Stay out of trouble. If not, have a good time. And just remember, love you all. Bye. Mwah.